अग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते स्वामीते नामने नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीते नामने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तविंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. All right. So today, any guesses of which Goswami we are going to talk about?
Hare Krishna Mataji, it's about Jiva Goswami.
Thank you. So yeah, I think Prabhuji has already announced. So all right, so we will go with glorifying Jiva Goswami today. So before we go on to that, I know you all have heard about the other few, three Goswamis till now. And blessings of all these Vaishnavas are very important. So that's why we are going through the life and pastimes of these Goswamis. Because by glorifying their life and activities, this is the only way that we can go beyond the conception of our life. So this is very wonderful that we have got this platform to glorify different Goswamis. And if you have remember in the first session, Sri Krishna Prabhuji has nicely explained the details of which Goswami are linked to which manjaris. I will not go on to that detail about that, but what I will explain is that, as you can see in the screen, I'm sharing a shloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 10.85, where from the translation it says, among these branches, Rupa and Sanatana were principal, Anupama, Jiva Goswami and others headed by Rajendra were their sub-branches. And in the purport, Prabhupada has given very nice explanation about Jiva Goswami, but I'm just sharing the first line of that purport, where he is saying that in the Gaura Gonadesha Deepika, it is said that Jiva Goswami was formerly Vilasa Manjari Gopi. So I know you have known all of the other 8 prominent gopis and how they are linked to different 6 manjaris, and then they are as 6 Goswamis in Gaura Leela. So in Krishna Leela, Jiva Goswami was Vilas Manjari Gopi. So now for today's discussion, I will mainly cover his life and activities and some of his great contributions. And out of 6 Goswamis, Jiva Goswami was the youngest, and he was the prominent in laying out the philosophical foundation of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So if we go through that who is, you probably now would have known that who is Rupa Goswami, who is Sanatan Goswami, but who is Anupama in this translation? Any guesses? I'm sure you must be here.
He's the brother of Sanatan Goswami, the younger brother of Sanatan Goswami, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
Anupama?
Yes. And in relation to Jiva Goswami?
His father.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Mataji. So Anupama was the father, and that's why Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami were his elder uncles. So Jiva Goswami is very special, especially for the our parampara, from where the Srila Prabhupada has connected us, because Srila Prabhupada had mentioned many times that I will later on discuss this, that how Srila Prabhupada has been inspired by Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami. And he had mentioned many times that my mission is to glorify and spread glories of Jiva Goswami around the world. And I request all of you to please cooperate. So you can see that it is coming to us through Parampara, and Jiva Goswami is very special place he has in what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So I will next go on explaining Jiva Goswami's childhood. Now you must be thinking about that photo that is on the screen. So let me take you in a time machine. Let's go back 500 years ago. And in that 5 years ago, in 1510, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has just taken sannyas, and he's out on his way to South India, and he's traveling around, and then he goes to Puri. And there he has been thinking, I need to go to Vrindavan. And then finally, after 2 years, he gets a chance to go to Vrindavan. His plan somehow gets worked out like that. So then in 1514, during Dasara time, he goes on a journey to Vrindavan. And as you would have heard, that Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami have been writing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to meet him. So then he takes a detour to Ramkeli, and there he meets Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. And of course, at that time, their names were different. So when he met, all three brothers, their initiated name is Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Anupama. And this was the first and last time Jiva Goswami has also had the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the little Jiva, he was only 3 years old at that time. So he also saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and that wonderful pastime of the three great Goswamis meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So after that darshan, he was very much inspired by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we see later on that Srila Jiva Goswami's father, Anupama, left this world. So when he left, poor Jiva infant, he was very young. So he was very much affected by the departure of his father. And he then decided that I will strongly follow this path, and I will strongly get into the spiritual learning and practice. And he studied the scriptures with a lot of attachment. Especially he has a fond of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So the verse that I shared previously, in that Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport as well, that he was very fond of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And he was so young in his early childhood that most of his association was with his mother. But he had a devotee mother, so who could also give him all the consciousness of the devotee minded, where he heard lots of pastimes about Krishna consciousness stories. So from childhood he got good association. And then he had very special thing with him, which was deities of Krishna and Balaram, where children of his age would play with toys. They will just go around and do lots of things. But what Jiva Goswami's favorite play was to worship the deities. He would dress them, he would offer them flowers, he would talk to them. And then once he was sleeping, and he would always hug them and sleep, embrace them, embrace the deities. And he's once what happened is, when he was embracing the deities and sleeping, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in his dream. And he saw, and it was very magical, that what he saw is like lots of devotees are doing kirtan, and he's seeing Nityanand Mahaprabhu. He has never seen Nityanand Prabhu, but he sees him in his dream, who he hasn't seen. So then he's seeing that, oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Mahaprabhu are changing to Krishna Balram deities. And then he sees those Krishna Balram deities, they again change to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Mahaprabhu. And then they keep on changing, and he's getting bewildered. Oh, what's happening here? So he then finally understood that Krishna Balram that I am worshipping is no different than Sri Sri Gauranitai. I'll share a verse with you in that context. It is from Chaitanya Charanamrit. So Chaitanya Charitamrit, Adi Leela 14.3, where he dreams about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna and Balaram. So it goes, Prabhu Bura Kahile Janma Janma Lila Sutra Yashoda Nandana Che Haile Sachi Putra. So I have thus described in brief the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared as the son of Mother Sachi, exactly as Krishna appeared as the son of Mother Yashoda. And then there is one more very nice bhajan. It's a Vaishnava song. Vajendra Nandana Jai Sachi Suta Hoile Se Balram Hoilo Nitai Balram Hoilo Nitai. So in that also we see the translation. If you see, Lord Krishna, who is the son of the king Vraja, became the son of Sachi, Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram became Nitai. So he became very ecstatic, and he's immersed in the thoughts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And he's in separation, deep separation of them. And that's how he grew up with a lot of devotion. So then one day when he grew up, he decided, of course, slowly he grows up, but when he grew up, he decided that he wants to visit Navadvip. Why he wanted to visit Navadvip? What's so special about Navadvip? Any guesses?
Birthplace of Lord Chaitanya.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. So because he was so attached to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted to visit his birthplace. And that's why he wanted to go to Navadvip. And he knew that there is no difference between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna himself. So then he takes permission from his mother and then he leaves. He goes to, so now we see that Jiva Goswami is traveling to Navadvip, Varanasi. And finally, when he goes there, he meets Srivas Thakur. He goes there to Srivas Thakur's house. And there he meets Nityananda Prabhu. And he immediately offers obeisances and he's surprised. I have seen him only in dreams. He is present in front of my eyes. He was so happy. He was like filled with joy that, oh, I'm seeing Nityananda Prabhu face to face. And even Nityanand Prabhu was very, very pleased with him. So what he did, he held his hand and said, come Jiva, I'll take you around the whole world, whole Navadvip Mandal Parikrama. And he took him to the whole Navadvip Parikrama, where he also takes him to meet Sachi Mata in Yogpi. And there, when Sachi Mata sees, oh, Nityanand Mahaprabhu has come, Jiva Goswami has come, she was so overwhelmed, she was so much filled with joy that she cooked prasadam herself for Jiva Goswami. And she gives prasadam. And he was so happy that he had the blessings of everybody. And this here we see the greatness of Nityanand Prabhu. What he did is he made sure everybody, all the Vaishnavas in Navadvipa gave blessings to Jiva Goswami. So everybody who was present, because he knew that he is the future of our Gaudiya Sampradaya. So there is a very nice lesson in this, that when we go for anything big, like we want to start something or do something very great in life, then blessings of Vaishnava is very, very important. So we must take the blessings of all the Vaishnavas around us. And that's what Nityanand Mahaprabhu is teaching us through this pastime. And then we see that after meeting everybody, he has seen all the Navadvip. And then he humbly asked, Jiva Goswami humbly asked Nityanand Mahaprabhu, that I have a desire to go to Puri to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Nityanand Mahaprabhu instructs him immediately, no, you have to go to Vrindavan. So, and even before you going to Vrindavan, he gets instruction that you go to Varanasi and then there study from Madhusudana Vajaswati, who is a disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So then he accepts that, he learns from him, and then he said, then you can join your uncle. So from this pastime also there is one more very important lesson, that even though we have a desire to go and see Lord personally, but the desire of Guru, the instruction of Guru is more important than actually having the darshan of the Lord. Because ultimately, the instruction will help us go and connect to the Lord. That is a very important lesson with this pastime we see. That Nityananda Prabhu also gives him blessings with this. He says, you go to Vrindavan and there under the shelter of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, you hear Hari Katha and you engage in their service and you will be enlightened by all tattva in your heart. So that's a great blessing that that Nityanand Prabhu could give him. He is Balram himself. And then Jiva Goswami requested that, how can I serve in Vrindavan? Please bless me with some spiritual strength to serve. So then he bows down to him. He gives him obeisances. And then what Nityanand Mahaprabhu does? He touches his lotus feet to the head of Jiva Goswami and blesses him with lots of bala, with lots of spiritual strength. And after getting that spiritual strength, of course, if we get little bit of like strength, we won't be able to suddenly manage it if it's beyond our capacity. But of course, it was not beyond his capacity, but it was so much of love flowing, so much of spiritual strength flowing that he got unconscious. Tears were flowing and he was saying, I'm so unfortunate that I couldn't get darshan of the leelas of Mahaprabhu, just like Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. And I didn't have that opportunity only, but I feel happy. I feel happy that I could at least have darshan of Lord when I was 3 years old. So this is a very important quality of a devotee, that when you're filled with separation from Bhagavan, then, and you think, oh, our life is unfortunate without the darshan of Lord, or without having the presence of Lord in our life, then that is a very important quality to have to help us progress. And then we will have more lolium, more desire for more and more spiritual nectar. So in this pastime, then we see that after visiting Navdeep Dham, then as per Nityanand Prabhu's instruction, he goes to Varanasi. And then he learns Sanskrit under Madhusudana Vachaspati. And after finishing his studies in Varanasi, then he goes to Vrindavan to take the shelter. So as a reference, this all pastime is described in Bhakti Ratnakara. And then we see that how he travels to Vrindavan. So there he meets Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami was elder to Rupa Goswami. So as he was elder, so he went to him. First, before he even goes to him asking for initiation, which I was going to talk about. First, as soon as he's there, again, same situation like Navdeep. Everybody gathered, everybody blessed him. And he was the youngest, so in the short time, he became everyone's favorite because he had such a sweet nature. He was very enthusiastic in his bhajan. And people were so impressed that he was very learned, very expert in serving Vaishnavas. So he became very favorite to all the Vaishnavas around. And then he approaches Sanatan Goswami for Diksha because he was elder. So he approaches him. But then Sanatan Goswami recommends him that please take Diksha from Rupa Goswami. And then he goes to Rupa Goswami asking him to initiate him. And he said, I will give you Diksha, but before that, I'll have to train you. So he said he will train him for some time and then he will give him Diksha. So now we'll think he was so learned. He does what sort of training Rupa Goswami would have thought for him. So he engaged him in menial services, and he was engaged in cleaning, cutting, cooking, and he was doing lots of laborious work of making palm leaves ready for writing, and he was doing everything very enthusiastically. And Rupa Goswami was very, very pleased. He was very pleased with his services. And then he was getting other services as well, that he was getting to proofread some of the work of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu written by Rupa Goswami. And later we will see that how Jiva Goswami writes a commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So that was his training as per Rupa Goswami. Then there are two very important pastimes that happens in Jiva Goswami's lifetime. I'll share both. The first one was there was one materialist. He was known as Digvijay Pandit or Rupa Narayan. And he was very proud. He was very proud that he's very scholarly. He knows Sanskrit very well and he can defeat everybody. So he wanted to maintain that reputation. So he was like, okay, I want to go to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami and want to defeat them. So he goes to them and he says, I challenge you for a debate. And Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami were not interested in some mundane scholar to have some useless conversations or useless arguments. So they said, oh, why do you want to waste your time in arguing with us who doesn't have as much knowledge as you? So why don't you, we accept that you are great. And he said, no, I will not just accept your verbal acceptance. You have to sign it on a certificate that I have defeated both of you. And then they're like, okay, where to sign? And they just signed it. And out of humility, because Vaishnavas don't want to waste their time and energy on something useless. So then he goes to Jiva Goswami because everybody was saying, oh, you have defeated Rupa Goswami, you have defeated Sanatan Goswami. But what about Jiva Goswami? He's coming out to be the next scholar. So then he goes to Jiva Goswami. And technically speaking, if Jiva Goswami, if this whole thing, he wouldn't have gone to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami before, then Jiva Goswami would have done the same thing. That, oh, you are great, I accept, I don't want to argue about this, and he would have signed that certificate. But Digvijay Pandit went to him and showed him the signature of his guru. That, look, I have defeated Rupa Goswami, I have defeated Sanatan Goswami, and now I challenge you. So as soon as he saw those names, he's like, okay, I accept the challenge. So then he accepts the challenge out of thinking that, oh, what about the other general people? They will not understand that out of humility, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami have signed this. It will be a bad name to my guru. So I must defeat him. So then they have conversation for 7 days, 7 nights, and Jiva Goswami clearly won. So he defeated him. And then Rupa Goswami gets to know about this. He comes to know this and he becomes very upset. So instead of being happy that great, you have defeated him, he was very, very upset with him that, why have you wasted so much of your time over something so useless? It was not required. So the lesson that he wanted to teach Jiva Goswami, that not to waste time in useless arguments here. Because sometimes when we make an argument with somebody who is not very open-minded or want to learn, then we may be thinking that we are doing good, but in fact, it just becomes a waste of time because the opinion doesn't change. But then he was very, very angry and he said to him that you should leave Vrindavan and come back after some time. But for that time, he was told to leave Vrindavan because there was a slight tinge of pride. Even if you can't stay in Vrindavan. That's what was mentioned by Rupa Goswami. And Jiva Goswami was so humble and so submissive to his guru that he immediately accepted the instructions of his guru. And he regretted that, oh, yes, it shouldn't have happened like that. Then we see that there are other conditions where it says that when your superiors or guru is defeated, the disciples must do something about it. And that was the intention of Jiva Goswami. So it was a noble intention. Then we see another pastime. So now Jiva Goswami is back to Vrindavan, and he is serving Rupa Goswami, and he's fanning. At that time, he was doing the service of fanning Rupa Goswami. And Vallabha Acharya. So Vallabha Acharya was a great Acharya of Pushti Marg Sampradaya. So he walks in, and Rupa Goswami is very respectful to Vallabha Acharya those days. So for Pushti Marg and Gaudiya Sampradaya at that time, they were like brothers. They were like they would respect each other very much. So he showed to him, Rupa Goswami, that I'm composing this Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Do you think you can review it and please advise if you have some suggestions? So then he asked to read it loud. So Rupa Goswami reads it, and he's talking about that the desire for bhukti and mukti is like a witch, and the spell of the witch. So at one place, Vallabhacharya stops him at this place, and he says, don't you think that it is a little bit too harsh to compare mukti by aspiring, because it is, many people are aspiring for it and it's quite glorious for many people. So for putting it at the same level as bhukti, maybe there's some sort of minor word changes is required. So Rupa Goswami immediately accepts it. He's like, okay, we can get that updated. And Jiva Goswami was listening to all of this. And then Vallabhacharya goes to Yamuna to take bath. Jiva Goswami goes there, and he humbly talks to Vallabhacharya. And he explains that actually, I would like to put a point forward, that what I have understood from my guru's writing, that what he's trying to explain, that it says the mukti desire is like a witch, but mukti by itself is not a witch. For that matter, it doesn't matter whether the desire is mukti or bhukti, but for the matter of any desire is like a witch. For a person who is driven by any desire may influence one to do any activity. And that's what it represents there. And they discuss more other technical details there. So Vallabhacharya was listening, and he was very senior. And he was listening, and he was very appreciative of him. He was very pleased that, oh, this boy is so great. He understands the bhakti part of the philosophy so well. So then he goes to Rupa Goswami and says, who is this boy, Jiva Goswami, I have met? And he explains that, oh, this boy is my nephew and also my disciple. So he says, he's amazing. And Rupa Goswami is surprised. And Vallabhacharya says that, I'm talking about Jiva. He's so nicely explained everything to me. And I don't think there's any changes to be made. Why? Because it's good that we had that discussion. Otherwise, I would have thought of correcting something that doesn't even require any correction. So I didn't think from that perspective. And then Vallabhacharya is pleased and he leaves. He is very pleased with Jiva Goswami's scholarly understanding. But then Rupa Goswami is not happy, because as per the Vaishnava etiquette, he felt that he has stopped somebody to correct his work. He told Jiva Goswami that he should be more tolerant and understanding, because Vallabhacharya's mood was that he offered to edit his verses out of kindness. So he should have let him do his work. But then he didn't. So he told Jiva Goswami that you should leave immediately and make your home outside of the river outside of the outskirt of Vrindavan until your mind is more steadier. So then sadly, Jiva Goswami goes from there. So he, and as we, as we seeing on the screen that this photo is where he's coming out of his bath, the Vallabha Acharya. But I was going back to that point there, that then Jiva Goswami leaves as per his Guru's order. And then he's found in the shelter of abandoned crocodile hole. Some people says it was abandoned crocodile hole. Some says it was a simple straw hut. So he just lived there in extreme austerity because he had an instruction to make your mind more steadier. So his mind was only he was focusing only on scriptures and chanting Hare Krishna, and he was longing to return to Vrindavan. So there in that outskirts of Vrindavan, he was so austere that he was eating very little. He was eating only in 3 days with some dry flour mixed with Yamuna water. And the amazing part is that during that time, he composed Sat Sandarbha. I will talk about Sat Sandarbha later, soon about the significance of that Sat Sandarbha. But just imagine, even to read some scriptures, we would look for some comfortable place. At least I can't understand anything if I'm very hungry. I mean, my mind needs some food. So I was very surprised and very amazed to know that he was performing so much of austerity and he was writing Sat Sandarbha, which is very, very scholarly. And villagers were very friendly to him, and we were asking, please eat, but he would just refuse and he would just want to maintain his austerity. So then we see that Sanatan Goswami, he was like a fatherly figure in Vraj. He would have very nice relationship with everybody. So he would talk to everyone. And then a few villagers came to him. Then, oh, do you know about this one new Baba who has come? He's very austere and he's getting very skinny, and but he's doing lots of tapasya there. And immediately Sanatan Goswami understood that it is Jiva Goswami there. So then first thing he does is he goes to Rupa Goswami, and then he asks him that, are we forgetting the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So he asks him to list out the three main instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anybody would like to say those three instructions?
It is Name Ruchi, Jive Daya.
Yes.
Name Ruchi, Jive Daya, and with the other one.
And
I mean, the love for the all living beings. I mean,
yes, correct. Yeah, Vaishnava Seva.
Vaishnava Seva.
Yes. So he says Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva, Jivadaya. So then Sanatan Goswami asks, okay, what was the last one? Can you say that again? He said Jivadaya. And then so he says, yeah, so where is Jivadaya? And he immediately understood that, oh, where is Daya for our Jiva? And then they go and get the Jiva. And then Rupa Goswami immediately calls him back, and they personally nourish him. He nourishes him, takes care of him, and gives him proper prasad so that he can get back into his shape from all the austerity that he has performed. But we see so much of loving exchange. So this is a very inspiring incident in Jiva Goswami's life with so many lessons. We see the examples of an ideal guru, ideal disciple, how a disciple, he wanted to protect the honor of his guru. Then we see Rupa Narayana, how he wanted to insult, but Jiva Goswami didn't just stay quiet about it. But then when the guru corrected, he humbly accepted the mistake and also went on to the correction that his guru has given. So an ideal guru example, we see that guru has to be very authoritative to correct his disciple. So guru has the authority. So he exercises authorities to correct his disciple. Because if Guru doesn't correct his disciple, then how will the disciple will grow? So we see all of that wonderful examples. And Vallabhacharya is a great example. He was such a senior Vaishnava and he accepted a feedback from a junior Vaishnava. At that time, from Vallabhacharya, Jiva Goswami was junior in rank. So it's great pastime to understand how all these loving exchanges and all the Vaishnavas, they build relationship and form relationship with each other. So then we will see about how Jiva Goswami contribution has helped. So I'll go to the next one to help the Gaudiya Sampradaya. So there have been lots of contributions of Jiva Goswami, but there is one beautiful gift that Rupa Goswami gives to Jiva Goswami. Any guesses of what gift Rupa Goswami gave to Jiva Goswami? The hint is pretty much on the screen.
Radha Damodar deities.
Yes, correct. Yes. So what happened is Radha Govindji came into Rupa Goswami dream and he changed into Radha Damodar. And he said he wanted to be served by Jiva Goswami. So then Rupa Goswami himself carved the deities. And in the month of Kartika, he gave those deities to Jiva Goswami to serve. So his contribution was that he looked after the deities and Radha Damodar temple. And he had so much of loving exchange. Jiva Goswami had great, wonderful pastimes with the Radha Damodar deities. So when he would offer the incense, deities would talk and say, Jiva, please get me some food. And then he would immediately go and cook something, and he would an expert cook, expert puchari. They would go and bring something to eat to offer so Radha Damodar can eat. And then he would say, Radha Damodar deities would say, come Jiva and listen to my flute. So all these loving exchanges he could experience between the deities, between the deities and the Jiva Goswami. So what we see that not only he was a scholar, but he was also a pure devotee. And he was a teacher, he was a manager, he was a visionary, he was all in one. He was a prolific writer because he has written 25 books, composed and written commentary on those, and more than 400,000 verses. And he wrote many varieties, like he wrote literature, he wrote philosophical books, commentaries, poems, manuals, grammar, Sanskrit grammar. We will talk about that as well. And he was a great teacher because we will talk about his 3 students who were also quite exemplary. And he was a visionary. Why he was a visionary? Because he made Radha Damodar temple registered. So at that time he had good political relationships. So he made sure he had the legally registered those land and everything. And he also helped Raghunath Das Goswami to manage the renovation of Radha Kund. And he helped him to register a place near Radha Kund where he could do his bhajan. So all the legal work and everything he took care. In fact, with his, Akbar was so impressed that he comes to Jiva Goswami and he asks him that, Jiva Goswami, what would you like? What can I do for you? And he said, give me some papers. At that time, blank papers was very difficult to get. So he got those writing scriptures. And that quality we see in Srila Prabhupada as well. So Srila Prabhupada was also a very great leader, visionary, manager, good manager, wrote lots of books, especially at night. So, and he also stayed, Srila Prabhupada also stayed in Radha Damodar temple. So he got special mercy of Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami was a very good teacher because he inspired Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda, who he initiated. His other name was Dukhi Krishnananda Das. And they preached the Krishna consciousness in Bengal. And he was a great disciple, which we have seen from the two pastimes. And he was an excellent leader, because then once what happened is all these manuscript that they used to handwrite, they sent it to Bengal and it was lost. And at that time, many were very much disheartened that, oh, we have written with lots of effort and it's all gone. But you see his leadership skills, that he was so patient. He was so patient, and if the leader is patient, then that mood is given to the followers as well, and that helps everybody to stay intact. So he said that if this is the situation, things are not in control, but things are never out of Krishna's control. And later they found the manuscripts. So that was all happened for good. And then these are the list of all the writings that he has done. So Srila Goswami has composed approximately at least 25 books, which I've listed. Probably I won't read all the names. Maybe you can have a look at it. Look at it. But he is known as the highly respected theologian, like a most important theologian born in India by many highly academics who have declared him to be that. So out of these, all of his writings, I'm going to talk about two in the next 10 minutes, maybe, or maybe 5 minutes. It could be finished. I will talk about Sat Sandarbhas, because that is a great contribution of Jiva Goswami. And if there is anything in relation to Jiva Goswami, we should hear and understand Sat Sandarbha. Ignore the arrows on my slide, but basically Sat Sandarbha means 6 grantha, in which he has explained in relations to Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. So what are these? Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana are the 3 stages of spiritual advancement. And originally Sat Sandarbhas was named as Bhagavata Sandarbha. So it was indicating that it was an analysis or thematic study of Srimad Bhagavatam, but later on it was renamed as Sat Sandarbhas. So there's Sambandha, where who we are, who is Maya Shakti, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Abhideya, that how we are acting towards that relationship once we understand what is our relationship with the Lord. And then it is Prayojana, is the ultimate goal of life, which is to develop the love of Godhead. So, and what should be our consciousness, that is explained, all the details explained based on Bhagavatam shlokas. And that was established by Jiva Goswami in these 6 sandarbhas. So they were Tattva Sandarbhas, Paramatma Sandarbhas, Bhagavad Sandarbhas, Krishna Sandarbhas, Bhakti Sandarbhas, and Priti Sandarbhas. So the first 4 that you can see is on Sambandha Tattva. So what that means? So which means that it will explain who we are, where Jiva or soul has come from. So here Jiva I'm saying is not Jiva Goswami. Jiva also means soul. And where it has lived, till when it will live here, how long it will go in the cycle of birth and death. So all of that our connection, relationship to the illusionary energy, how Krishna is related to Jiva and illusionary energy, or the Maya Shakti. And all these relationships are explained in that 4 sandarbhas, the first 4. So where he then later on explains the Paramatma, some sandarbha, Bhagavat, and also the Krishna sandarbha. So once it is established that Bhagavan is there, and Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is the Sakar Swarup, then one needs to understand how to act accordingly. What is the duty towards that? So then Jiva Goswami has presented Bhakti Sandarbha. So in Bhakti Sandarbha, he has explained very wonderfully 9 processes of devotional service, where Bhagwan's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela is explained, and also explained that by practicing Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dashyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, how one progresses. And also, if somebody just thinks, oh, okay, Shravanam, okay, Kirtanam. Shravanam means just listening. So if we are listening to TV, is that Shravanam? If we are just glorifying somebody, is that Kirtanam? So maybe not. I mean, actually not. So what Jiva Goswami has explained is that he has explained the proper definition of these. So he has given the definition of Shravanam in relation to Krishna, definition of Kirtanam in relation to that bhakti, what exactly it is. And then he has used Bhagavatam shlokas to reference it as evidence. And that is very special. That shows his great attachment to Bhagavatam, that how he could link everything and put it all together as for us just follow. So then he has also established that bhakti is the only abhidya worth following. All other processes are there, but without bhakti, it is not fruitful. So other practices have lasting significance only if they are graced by bhakti. So this is what we learn in Bhakti Sandarbha. And then in Preeti Sandarbha, Krishna Prem is explained. So that is the prayojana, the ultimate goal of life, which is to develop love of Godhead. And by studying this Sat Sandarbha, one thing is confirmed, that you will be confirmed that Jiva Goswami's attachment, confidence, and surrender to Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very astonishing. Because if you just imagine, right now, if we have to link some shlokas and find out few references, we have lots of search engines. We have Vedabase, we have Google to exactly find that particular verse. But Jiva Goswami didn't have any of those things. So what he was dependent on? He was only dependent on his memory, his great study, his sadhana. And that shows that how scholarly he was and his surrender to Krishna. He has given some secondary references as well of other scriptures, but mainly everything has been referenced from, most of the things has been referenced from Bhagavatam. But what a great scholarly study of 18,000 shlokas of Bhagavatam, which is very, very inspirational. So that's why Jiva Goswami's this Sat Sandarbha is very important, because this will help the entangled soul to come out of this world. And that's what is the main essence, and that's very important to learn. And then I will talk quickly about this Harinam Namamrita Vakyarana. So in that, I think most of you who knows Hindi or Sanskrit would be quite familiar with these this vowels and consonant and what's in. So what he has produced is why this is so important. So basically what he has done, he has connected, there are lots of rules for Sanskrit grammar. So what he has done, he has connected Sanskrit grammar rules in terms of Krishna's holy name. And where he got that inspiration from? He got that inspiration from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has explained the grammar in terms of Krishna's holy name. So what Jiva Goswami has done is that he has composed Sanskrit grammar, which is called Harinam Namamrita Vakyakarana. And in that he has given lots of technical terms in sutras, and they are the names of Krishna and his associates. What are the grammar rules to write it? So there is, so it says all these sounds are, the origin of these letters is Narayana. So, of course, in Aishwarya Bhav, it is Vishnu, and in Madhurya Bhav, it is Krishna. So, in Panini Sanskrit grammar, these are called the vowels and consonants. So, these are called Swara and Vyanjana. But what Jiva Goswami has developed is that instead of Swara, he has named them as Sarveshwar. And instead of Vyanjana, he has named them as Vishnujana. So now, what's so significance about that, one may think. But let's see the technicality of it. That Vishnujana means devotee. So all these consonants are devotees, those letters. And vowels, which is Sarveshwara, means Krishna, the Bhagwan. So vowels are Krishna. So if we read Ka, can you say Ka without a sound in it? No, we can't. So if we can't, that means it is incomplete. The Ka is incomplete. So just like how Vyanjana is incomplete without a swar, similarly Vishnujana is incomplete without Bhagwan. So devotees are incomplete without bhakti, the presence of bhakti for Krishna in our life. So that's just one example how he has very nicely connected Krishna's names and others in the rules of Sanskrit grammar. But there are many other rules, so I'll not go over those. And at the end, I would just like to show you that this is a photo of Jiva Goswami Samadhi, which is in Radha Damodar temple. So this is the outside of the, a little bit inside, not exactly outside, but internal inside before we go in. And this is from the deities of Jiva Goswami from his Samadhi. That's a photo of that. And to conclude this, if you notice, as I have linked before as well, that Srila Prabhupada got so much of blessing from Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami. And by being in Radha Damodar temple, he developed so many of Jiva Goswami's qualities. So how can we serve these great acharyas? So the only way we can serve is by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, which is based on the commentaries of these acharyas, and by spreading the knowledge. And I would just like to end there. If anybody have any questions, corrections, suggestions, please feel free to tell me. And I will stop sharing my screen.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for giving us a nice elaboration about pastime of Jiva Goswami. You wonderfully started with how Jiva Goswami had a dream of Nityananda Mahaprabhu, and his instruction was to take blessing from all the Vaishnavas. Following the instruction of is more important of a guru than taking darshan of the Lord, which was very, very impressive. And also about the pastime about the Kuja Pandit and Jiva Goswami of not wasting time on the mundane topics. And you also nicely elaborated on Sat Sandarbha, which is very, very nice. And then you pointed out nice contribution of Jiva Goswami, like he's taking care of the temple of Radha Damodar temple. He was expert cook. He was doing the pujari job. He was excellent teacher. He was doing seva in Radhakund. And people generally ask Madhukari to ask for food, but he used to ask for paper so he can write manuscripts. So he was an exemplary leader as well. And lastly, you very nicely explained about the Hari Namamrita Vyakarana, that, in Swara he compared to as Sarveshwara, and for Yanjana you compared to as a Vishnujana. Without Vishnujana, there is no Sarveshwara. So thank you so much, Mataji, for elaborating nicely about Jiva Goswami's pastime. If any would like to add on or have any other questions, please go ahead. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I think we don't have any questions. We will rest the class here. So we'll just say thanks once again to Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for
Thank
doing.
you, Prabhu.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for your
Thank
very
you.
wonderful class.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.